Hey, y'all, Elise Smith here, and welcome to the Socially Awesome Podcast, where we empower mompreneurs to implement simple social media strategies into their businesses and elevate their online presence. I'm a mompreneur of three, an affiliate marketer, a network marketer, an influencer, a social media marketing agency owner, and your personal guru. I am here to give you tips, tricks, and tools that you need to build your social media business. Let's dive in. Hey guys, so excited to be coming into this Thursday. I have got a special guest this morning. We are going to chat with her a little bit about what she's got going on, how you can connect with her. She is an amazing friend of mine and also has been in the Social Success Academy in this last round. So towards the end of our conversation, she and I will be chatting a little bit about her experience there. But I want to welcome from backstage, Trienne Topp.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining with me this morning. I know you and I chatted forever before we even got this going because we just have so much great conversation. It always just flows with you. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. As soon as you were like, hey, let's have a conversation in the group. Yes, two hands up. Let's do it. Maybe a little selfishly because I love to spend some time with you to kind of pick your brain a little bit because we are similar in our backgrounds and what we're working on.
Yeah.
And I love that community that you really kind of build for yourself.
Yes, thank you. And you guys, if you if you're watching this, you're inside Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. If you go to the guest training guide as well, Trienne has an amazing training that she put in here just a few weeks ago. Check it out because she does all types of training on personal growth, leadership, and she was gracious enough to stream that into our group for you guys. So really plug into that because you've heard me talk a lot about personal growth and personal development over the last year as a full-time entrepreneur. But even if you're in this group and you don't have, that online business yet, or you're not or brick and mortar, Trienne has a brick and mortar business as well. And you're just lost and you're meant for more. Personal growth will always help you. It will always help you. So she and I are going to chat a little bit this morning about what she does and how she helps people because, like I said, she does have a brick and mortar business. She also has an online business and she's got her hands in a couple different things. So tell us a little bit about, hey, look, you know me, I've got like 30 baskets lined up. So tell me a little bit about what you do, who you serve, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And I laugh because on my podcast, one of the last things that I say to people, so to be that create that podcast is the name of my company. At the very end of every one of those, I say, I've had you on hot seat now for 15 to 20 minutes. Do you have any questions for me? And the question I get every single time, it's almost comical. I should just say, I know this is going to be your question, is they say, how do you do all the things? How do you do all the stuff and things? So I really kind of joke and I say, oh, it's time blocking. Because I use that Google Calendar and I use the heck out of the color coding, right? But really, I would say that before I got into doing some of this work on my own, I was already doing the work. I was just doing it for a different company. I have over 26 years in restaurant experience. I have 8 years in retail and it's clothing retail for Maurice's. And then I also did 8 years in network marketing. So I got to the point where people were asking my advice about leadership and I was developing these teams and that's what I was really passionate about. And I was like, if people are asking me these questions, there must be some value to it and they can't find it anywhere else. So my leaders on my team would always say, I sit down with you and we're talking about my career and we're doing a review and it turns into you are my life coach. So they would be looking forward to those conversations. So I kind of put the two into leadership performance coach because when it comes to leadership, when people come for help, what do they typically say? They say, I can't get my team to do this. Well, you know as well as I do, it's not about what you can't get your team to do. You are their example. First, you have to get yourself to do it. And then you're leading by example and you have some truth and experience to coach them from. So leadership performance comes from let's get you straight, get you where you need to be so that not only are you an example, but you have an understanding of what that transformation feels like and you can help develop them as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you guys, if you're watching this, when she uses the word team, that's interchangeable.
Mhm.
Network marketing team, in-person team, like as a supervisor at your current position, or if you're going to have a brick and mortar business. So don't be like, well, I don't have a team. You don't have a team yet. Okay. But if you're in an online business long enough and you start to scale, you might have to hire a VA, you might have to hire graphic designers or vendors or things. And that's all part of your team. And that leadership style is so important because, um, you cannot what did I made a post about it the other day. You can't out hustle poor leadership. Okay. You
Absolutely. I think I
cannot,
hit love on that 5
yeah,
million times
you
because
cannot,
I was like, yes.
yes, you can't. You can't. You can hustle all day long, but if you are not a good leader, people are not going to follow, and you're gonna burn the hell out. Okay, that's just how it goes. So, and I don't do leadership training, but I've done enough leadership development, and I worked with. I actually was never allowed to supervise at my previous position. I was told that needed to I needed to work more on my leadership skills. They would never allow me to supervise anyone, but I worked with enough vendors that I wrote really big fat checks to, that I still had to be a leader to those people
Yeah.
to be able to lead them in the direction of a result that I wanted, that I was paying for. And the same now, I have two amazing virtual assistants that work for me. We just downsized a little bit. I had three up until about a month ago. And I have to lead them in the right direction as well. So you're leading your audience, you're leading community, you're leading, if you're in coaching or networking. So, this is just amazing.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, the best people that I learned my leadership skills were from my children.
Yeah,
Even, we talk about in Female Leader Headquarters, we
very
talk about
true.
you don't have to be in charge of a team or an office in order to be a leader. You're leading
Yeah,
yourself with every decision that you're making. But at one point before I started writing, and you'll share that book we were in together,
yeah.
I had a topic of leadership lessons I learned from my 4-year-old, because I have become a better leader, but also a better parent by choosing leadership development.
That's that's gold. That is gold, because we don't think of it that way,
Mhm.
right? We don't think of it as leading our children. And a lot of us grew up in a society that was like, do what you're told and don't ask any questions. And while I still somewhat parent that way, that's not leadership. And so the world's changing as well,
Mhm.
so we have to adapt. So if it can help with parenting, hands down, like right there. And you guys, she was referencing the book. So she and I are both published authors in the new collaborative book that came out, Unleashing Her. You can drop book in the comments and we'll get you the link to it. It's like $15. Okay. It's not a crazy expensive book. But there are over 40 stories in here from over 40 different women, all different areas of refining success as a female entrepreneur. So Trienne's topic is creating that leadership lifestyle, of course. So she
Mhm.
talks a lot about personal growth, personal development, and what you can do to work on that. And then
Mhm.
mine is all about being authentically awesome and just showing up as you, and not getting stuck in that comparison trap and just paving your own path. And I think leadership and paving your own path go hand in hand, because if you're trying to mimic someone else's leadership style, it might not be the right one for the situation or the right one for your audience or your season of life either. So it's really important, I think, to connect with that. So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned the female leadership headquarters,
Mhm.
which is your Facebook group. And guys, I will drop the link in the comments. You can also drop the word group and we will make sure that we get you in there. But tell me a little bit about what you do in there. I know you have trainings, you give tips and tricks and all the things. You have your podcast that you share. So what could they expect in your Facebook community?
Yeah, so the Female Leader Headquarters, actually, that group started 8 years ago when I was in network marketing, and it was my team page. And it was just full of like, here's your daily inspiration, here's something that you can try. It was trying to create that team camaraderie in my network marketing group. I was with 31 Gifts for 8 years. And so then after that, I was like, I don't really want to give up on this group. I had over 100 people in it at that point. So we changed the name a couple times and changed the purpose a couple times. It always came down to leading yourself and being an inspiration. So inspiration without action is nothing. So we make sure now that some of that inspiration is, okay, yes, you can do this. And by the way, here's a tip and trick on how to do this. We do challenges in there. Specifically, my morning routine challenge seems to be the most popular. It's called the Morning Rush. It's a 21-day morning challenge to take you from stress to successful. And that seems to be the most popular. The other thing that I do in there, what started in 2020 as just interviewing people in that community to get them to know each other and engage and really talk about the fact that people can make an impact on a daily basis with something as simple as a conversation and as big as running an office or a business. So I took just people that were in the community and asked, hey, can I interview you for 20 minutes? And it was called Intentional Women Making an Impact. Then I've been wanting to start a podcast for like a year and a half. Podcasts literally saved my mental health in 2015. So I said, I want to be a part of that. I have things to say and stuff to do. But it wasn't until I took that course, Podcast in a Day with Kimberly, that I made it happen. So now I take the same process of just kind of grabbing people from the community and different people I've met socially, and I interview them for my podcast, Be That Create That, really showing the fact that you can make an impact in basically a conversation. And we center it around leadership and leading yourself, and sprinkle in a little bit of like things that you do throughout the day that are non-negotiable that create success for you, because everybody's different.
Yes, yes, so good. And you guys go find her podcast. I mean, I've been a guest on it, and I know you've had some amazing guests on it. And she actually has you have where if the for your guests, they actually can be collaborators in your group too, right? So it's really cool that if you jump in her group, you're going to see collaborations from all of these people that she has interviewed on the podcast as well.
Yeah, as soon as
Which
they get in the
is
group, I put that, or as soon as they get on the podcast, I take them and put them as pre-approval, because by
right.
that time it's almost like an interview process of,
Yeah.
are you going to contribute to our group in a leadership way and not a spammy way?
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of success with that, because then they feel like they're a teacher, an educator, a supporter of the group.
Yes. And people want to share. They want to share their value, and giving them a platform to do that is crazy. Crazy awesome. So tell me a little bit about your actual services, because I know you have a restaurant. And then you also have a coaching business. So tell me a little bit about those two things specifically, because you're able to take what you're doing and in real life, right? Because we have a lot of times we have coaches that are like, maybe they retired from an industry or they were burnt out. You are in the trenches being a leader every single day. And you're also teaching that to others in many different elements, online entrepreneurs. I saw your one pager about, going out and consulting with other business owners, whether that be brick and mortar or not. So tell me a little bit about those two things and how they interchange.
Well, what's interesting about the business is when it's your business, you can make it what you want. But when it's your business, you also get all these crazy downloads that you're like, I could do this and I could do this and I could serve in this way. And so it's difficult sometimes to center it in. And what I found that I love about the business is that when people know specifically what I do, sometimes it just comes down to that they want to be in the energy of it. So I do have a lot of times where someone will come and they'll say, hey, I have a retreat idea. Would you be willing to facilitate this for me and help me build it? Yes, I can do that. Hey, I have a workshop idea that I would like to run by my group. Would you be willing to come and do a lunch and learn? Yes, I will do that. So it's given me the opportunity to say yes to some things that I've had on my list for a long time, but still doing it in a way that's leadership and encouraging people to be that leader in their life. So in 2019, it's called an operating partner. So I'm a co-owner in the restaurant that I actually started when I was 16 as a cashier. It was my first real big girl job that I didn't get paid under the table. So my general manager at the time, we had disconnected a little bit when I got recruited by another company. And when that restaurant sold to a different franchisee, they went bankrupt. and it was closed down. And it was kind of it was a sad moment. It was like, oh, that was my first job, you know. So then he called me and he said, are you interested in being the general manager again? Because I had worked my way up to general manager. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not sacrificing having my own business to working 50 hours a week for a paycheck. I'm just not doing it. So he came back like a month later and he said, are you interested in being an operating partner? So once I got a better idea of what that meant, and got my husband's buy-in, we were all in, and that was in 2019 that we reopened that place. What I've loved about it is, like you said, it's the day in, day out experience. Because when I coach, whether it's a group coaching program or it's my 3-month, what I coach from is truth and experience. This happened. This is how I dealt with it. This is what I've seen other people do. Now you make your choice. My coaching is a lot of questions, because I've been in a coaching program before where I felt a dependability on that coach and their opinions and their ideas. And I kind of lost listening to my own intuition. And I didn't want my clients to feel that. So I try very hard to make sure that it's me asking them questions and then coming up with their own. Aside from the coaching business and the restaurant, during the school year, I teach character education at a local elementary school. And what I love about that is not only am I in my kids' school 2 days a week, but also, again, it's made me a different parent. It's made me a different leader. We're having conversations about being honest and trustworthy and anti-bullying and creating friendships and communication. There's 18 different lessons. And every time I have that lesson, I'm giving it 21 times. So it's inherently being taught to me all over again.
Okay, so now it's my turn to ask the question that everyone on your podcast asks. How do you do all this? What? I did not know that you were teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like mind blown. Okay. But no, I, just from working with you and spending some time with you, especially, in the academy and things like, you've got a good routine. You've got a good system. And I think that's something that, you talk about with your morning rush and just getting all of that done. Your non-negotiables, but you're so passionate about all of these things. You make it work. And I think that's where people get nervous, is they don't feel they can do it. And I promise, if you're passionate enough, you can.
And you have to make sure that all the things tie together to one goal.
Yeah.
My goal is to make an impact. My goal is to help empower people to be leaders of their own lives instead of reacting to what comes their way. And then I try to do it with my kids as well. So that's the thing, is all 3 of the things that I do tie, 4 things if you count parenting, tie to one common goal: teach people to be leading themselves.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's changing hats all the time, but it is changing audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, okay, I want to ask you just a little bit, because you jumped into the Social Success Academy with me in the first, it was the first time launching group coaching. I did only one-on-one prior to that. And I still have some one-on-one clients, and I love working with people one-on-one, but group coaching was asked for by my audience. What has been your experience in the Social Success Academy? What do you feel like people would get out of it? Because it is changing for this wave. So it's going to be 6 months. I have a little more, actual teaching of the tech and things like that. But could you share a little bit about what your experience has been like in there?
Yeah. So at the time that you opened the academy, I was ending a year-long coaching program, that we shared. And I don't have a lot in my outside support group that really understands what I do. So I know for my own accountability, I need someone that I can talk through those ideas. I have a support group. Just like yesterday, I sent that picture of my one-pager and said, what do you think? What are your comments? What are your ideas? And besides going into a bigger mastermind, I loved that your group you had capped it at the time at 10. So not only do I learn a lot from you every time I watch something or listen to something or we have a conversation, but I knew that I needed that kind of like outside support that was also trying to figure things out. So for me, the biggest thing was accountability. And the second piece that I got from it was some of the ideas that you shared, like the business binder Trello board. That was helpful for me. Get it all in one place, right? So I think it's the things that you pick up along the way, and you have to be careful about who who you surround yourself with. And I already knew from us working together that at least one or two of the group, and anyone you choose to put yourself around, is probably going to be someone that I will want to be around. Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so important because, like you said, the accountability piece, guys, is probably the biggest thing you're going to get out of coaching. I mean, of course, your coach can have ideas that you might not have thought of on your own, right? You can definitely get that brainstorming, especially in the group setting. One-on-one, you can dig in a little deeper, but in the group setting, you're able to get multiple opinions, especially if those people are potentially your audience. So you're getting that feedback. But the accountability piece. And I always say don't hire a coach that doesn't have a coach just because they're not taking their own advice. But getting that accountability and getting to have that. I think people are nervous to spend money on coaching because it's not a tangible product that they can feel. But I promise you, just as someone who I've only been in full-time entrepreneurship for a year, I came into it with digital marketing experience, but the entrepreneurship side, clueless, right? And I would have been spinning my wheels for 5 years figuring this out on my own. So if you're interested in the academy, drop academy below. We will get you the link. I'm keeping it open for the whole month because the sessions don't start until September, but the bonuses vary. So the bonuses that we have going right now for the people that are interested, I relaunched them on Monday because it was my birthday. And I did. I was like, I'm gonna do one of those reverse birthdays I've seen on social media. And they end tomorrow. You get all of the bonuses that we've talked about. It's a $3,000 value. And if you're interested in the academy, we can have a private conversation about that. But I just wanted you to hear Trienne's experience because she has so much experience in the entrepreneurial space. Just to hear her feedback that she felt it was valuable to her is gold for me.
And one of the things I think you do really well in this academy that I have appreciated is you start our group calls with, this is the topic, and you go around individually.
Yeah.
People don't feel rushed, but you go around to them individually. And then at the very end, you say, okay, now this is what I can add to what you've already shared, rather than starting off with teaching. And I think what that does is it puts people in a place that they really feel like they know what they're doing and they have some control over it. And then what you're adding is like bonus information.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. And I like to see, I do that for a couple reasons because just like you probably, I get on all of these trainings, all of these YouTube videos. I'm always plugged into something, podcast or whatever. And I very often go, oh, I've heard this. This is not new. I know this already. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I needed to hear that again. But very often I'm like, okay, I've heard 1,000 people tell me this is the Instagram growth strategy, So I want to know where people are before I just ramble at them stuff they already know. And I think I gather from going around like that of where they are in their business, and we can adjust from there. But man, thank you so much for that, because that's gold to me. So I want to invite people to join your group, but you also have a freebie for anyone that's watching today or that watches the replay. You have got a personal growth plan. So tell me a little bit about that so that I'll have them drop in the comments. You could drop plan in the comments and either myself or Trienne will come back and get you the link to that. But tell me a little bit about the personal growth plan and why they should snag it.
So what I love about the personal growth plan is very similar to, the way you teach. Let's figure out where you're at and then where you want to go and fill in the gap. And you get to choose what's in the gap and you get to choose where you're at right now. So in personal growth plan, we do use something similar to Wheel of Life, where we've got 7 categories. And in those 7 categories, and an example might be family. So on a scale of a 1 to a 10, 1 being, I don't even think about it, 10 being, I'm awesome at this next, right? Someone will label themselves as a 5 or a lazy 6. And then we go, okay, you want to be a lazy 6? What does our 7 look like? What does our 8 look like? And then we talk about, what do you feel like you're doing really well right now? Because we know that we get some momentum when we start to celebrate. What is something that you would like to work on to get to that 7? And, oh, by the way, who can help you do that? Because we need the accountability partner. What does that look like? Sets a vision for them. And then they can go to that accountability partner and they can say, I want to build better relationships, be it with my family. You know, how could I do that with you if maybe it's a parent, like you were talking about your grandma? And I think looking at those individual spokes gives people permission to work on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But they're doing it on their own and then seeking help. So it's empowering because they're doing it on their own and then reaching for the support that they feel that they need.
Yeah. And, you know, you said earlier that there's not a lot of people maybe in your in real life world that understand what you do. And I agree. I have the same situation. So I think it's really important to plug into that personal growth and then surround myself with accountability partners that do know what's going on. Cause like my husband will tell you all day, and I'm pointing cause he's over there somewhere.
Yeah.
But he'll tell you all day that, you know, he only has Facebook for marketplace. Like he's not into online anything, right?
Bill too.
Not really. My mom tells people when, you know, I have a lot of local people that follow me on Facebook, and they're like, what does she do? We don't even know. And my mom's like, I'm not sure. She makes money somehow. Seriously, my grandma thinks, you know, I sell random things all the time. She's like, don't you sell earrings or something? Like, so if they're not in your world, not that they don't want to be supportive, but they can't give you that accountability that you need. And so I have to plug into those personal growth. I have to make that plan for personal growth from people that do know what I need and that can support. And I think that's really important. So you guys drop plan in the comments. She or I will come back and get you the link to that. Get in her group, follow her on Facebook, follow her on all of her platforms, and definitely plug into her podcast because she has a lot of different collaborations on there that you could value, you know, have value from. And then of course, as we talked about with the book, if you're interested, just drop book in the comments. She and I will get you the link to this. But if I could tell you one thing, this right here could be personal growth for you, because this is personal development. Reading, there's someone out of these 40 women that you're going to relate to. There is something in here you need to hear. Something that's going to trigger something for you. And
what I loved about that book specifically is the fact that it's almost like a chicken soup for the soul type
of
book.
It does remind me of that.
Chapter at a time.
Yep.
And when I'm trying to work on my own personal growth, or when I'm reading a book, I try to more do a book. So I read a chapter, do something, read a chapter, do something. And when the stories are split up like that, although they have this common overarching theme, it's easy to say, I liked this piece of this story and I'm going to try that. Again, empowering you to make your own decision.
Yes. No, I love this so much. And, you know, it's funny because I know a lot of these women just from being in the community and all the things, but there's a lot of them I don't. And as I've been reading their chapters, I've reached out to them and said, like, hey, I read your chapter. It was amazing. I want you to guest train. I want you on my podcast. Like I've created 40 connections right here. And that's invaluable. And I think that's really cool because it's a very small peek into what they do or who they serve or what they've come through. There's several in here about mindset or what they've overcome. And it was really cool for us both to be in there. And Mark published author off our list this year. Like that's pretty.
Check that off the vision board. That was exciting.
And I
didn't do it. I came this close to not doing it. It was one of the last ones. And it was imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I remember reaching out to Kimberly and being like, I just don't know, what have you. And she came back and she said, of course you need to be in the, and again, surrounding yourself with the people who understand what you're going through and what you're doing.
100%.
Of course you need to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. I jumped in. I have published author on my vision board, of course. And I have a book in my brain that is I'm going to release it one day, but I was like, you know what? I need to start small so that I can get that, like you said, imposter syndrome, like who's going to read my book. Right. Yes. So I need to start small and work up that nerve and get feedback from this and see what it's like to write and just get my toes wet. But ultimately you have to jump in and do it. And so my next book probably won't release till 2025, guys. Honestly, because it's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share a lot about my history and where my, you know, a lot of it's going to be more of a somewhat of becoming her, of a lifestyle, like where my life has developed from. So there, I need some people's permission to share those stories and things like that. But mark it on your calendar, 2025, it's coming out. Okay.
January
I
2025.
got to wait on some permissions and things, but this was so great. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for just sharing and letting people soak up what knowledge you have. And of course, sharing your experience in the academy. I have appreciated it so much.
Yeah. And I would say to anybody who's even on the fence, jump off of it right now and get into the academy, because I'll be there.
Gold.
You know,
That is gold.
I'm going to support you all the way.
That is gold. Okay, marking that down. She said that at 29 minutes and 49 seconds. And
yep, I'm in.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna hop off. I've got a call at 11, but I appreciate you guys so much for being on today. Anyone that watches the replay, make sure you drop those, those words in the comments, the group, book, plan, all the things that you need, so we can come back and support you. And if you have any questions for myself or Trienne, don't hesitate to reach out to us on Facebook. We are both busy swamp people, so give us a 24-hour turnaround time. Okay. I always like to give that disclaimer. I think people think I live in Facebook Messenger often, but we definitely want to support you. We want to connect with you, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. So, all right, guys, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome. Bye, y'all.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I'm Elise Smith, your host, and let me tell you how you can get a free social media audit from me. Make sure that your profile is optimized and you're ready to build. Take a screenshot of you listening to this episode, throw it in your stories and tag me. You can find my handle in the show notes. I will share it to my entire audience, and you will be entered to win one of the 5 free audits that I'll be doing every single month. Number 2, if you found any value out of this episode or any of my episodes at all, please feel free to leave a review. It is the best compliment you can give. Lastly, make sure you check out the link to get into my free community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. It's in the show notes. We go live in there weekly with guest trainings and more. Until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome.